Modifying file permissions in Plesk. This tutorial will show you how to modify file permissions in Plesk. For this demonstration, we logged into Plesk as the admin user. If you're logging in as a client or domain administrator, the navigation will differ slightly and some of the options will not be available in your control panel. Whenever possible, we will note the differences in access levels in this tutorial. The ability for clients and domain administrators to modify file permissions are granted in the settings for the user. For more information about setting the specific access levels for clients and domain administrators, refer to the following respective tutorials: Managing Clients in Plesk and Managing Domains in Plesk. Click the Domains link. Click the domain name. Under a client's panel, the domains owned by that client will be listed at the bottom of the main menu, accessed by clicking the Home link in the navigation panel on the left. Click the File Manager icon. Permissions for web-accessible directories and files can also be modified under the Web Directories section. Under a Domain Administrators panel, both the File Manager and the Web Directories icons are located in the main menu, accessed by clicking the Home link in the navigation panel on the left. For subdomains using physical hosting, there are also File Manager and Web Directories icons located in the main menu for the subdomain. Subdomains using a subdirectory will have a Web Directories icon, but not a File Manager icon. For more information about subdomains, refer to the tutorial Managing Subdomains in Plesk. Let's hide the navigation panel. The document root for a domain on a Plesk server is the HTTP docs directory. Let's go there, where we can manage the file permissions for the website files and subdirectories. Click the HTTP docs link. For this demonstration, we are using the example of preparing the file permissions for a manual installation of OS Commerce. We have uploaded the installation files, which include the catalog directory where the software will be installed. The installation process will require that the installation script be permitted to write configuration information submitted to it in a web form to the configure.php file located in the includes directory. This procedure will not be necessary if you're using the web applications to install OS Commerce. For more information about installing web applications, refer to the tutorial Managing Web Applications in Plesk. Click the Permissions icon. Here are the users and user groups that have permissions set for the directory. Users and groups that do not have permissions explicitly set will be listed in this menu. Let's add the permissions for these groups. Click the plus icon. Click the plus icon. This is the group that covers permissions for all administrator accounts. For security reasons, these permissions cannot be altered or removed from this interface. This is the set that covers the permissions for the Plesk user that manages the domain. These permissions also cannot be altered or removed using this interface. This is the set that covers the user that accesses the directory when someone requests a page in that directory from the web. This is used worker processes executed by ASP and ASP.NET applications. For CGI and PHP applications, permissions should need to be set only for Plesk IIS user typically. For ASP and ASP.NET applications, permissions will need to be set for both the Plesk IIS user and the Plesk IIS WP user. This user is used by the system and cannot be altered or removed. This group covers users that access the site via FrontPage or SharePoint. This group covers the users that access via FTP. Plesk does not give you the option to manually create new users or user groups from this interface. New users and groups will be automatically created by Plesk when you perform other tasks, such as adding subdomains, web users, or FTP accounts. Let's remove permissions for FrontPage users. Click the minus icon. Click the checkboxes to select the permissions. Permission is by default denied unless explicitly granted for a specific type of access. Permission also can be explicitly denied to allow exceptions to be made. For instance, you can set permissions such that all users in a group are allowed access in the group permissions, but then explicitly deny access for a specific user that belongs to that group. For a more detailed list of permissions, click the Advanced button. Setting permissions using the Advanced options for a user or group will remove it from this list. To re-add a user to the basic list, simply remove the permission sets from the Advanced list, and then the user or group will be available again in the basic permissions list when you return to it. Click the group or user name to select it. This option will allow any changes to the permissions of the parent directory to automatically be applied to this one. Checking this checkbox will recursively apply the permissions set for this directory to all files and subdirectories under this one. It is recommended that you use caution when using this option, as it will change the permissions for all files and directories below this one. A mistake made here can affect many files or directories. Different sets of permissions can be set for a user or group to apply to directories, subdirectories, and files. These options select to what the set of permissions apply. These sets cannot be removed because they're inherited from the parent directory, unless you first uncheck the box allowing the inheritance. Click the checkboxes to select the permissions. Click the OK button. Now, let's look at the permissions for a file. Click the Catalog link. Click the Includes link. Here is the configure.php file we mentioned earlier that the install script will need to be able to edit. Let's check the permissions on this file. Click the Permissions icon. Click the Advanced button. Click the group or username. Since we're looking at the permissions for a file instead of a directory, this option is not available. Since the user had write control permission granted to the catalog directory, the parent directory to the includes directory that this file is in, when we saved the permissions with the option to overwrite permissions on child objects, the permissions were granted for the user on the file. So we do not need to make any changes to grant them. Click the OK button. Congratulations! You now know how to modify the file permissions in Plesk.